Have you ever wondered why, in the middle of an argument or a stressful moment, you say or do something you regret almost instantly? That flash of anger, that sharp tone, that decision you wish you could take back. It isn't a sign that you're weak or broken. It's the natural response of a brain designed to protect you from threats. But in today's world, those threats aren't tigers or predators. They're deadlines, messages, disagreements, and moments of pressure. And yet your body still reacts as if it's in danger. You're not alone in this. Millions of people feel trapped inside a cycle of emotional reactions they can't seem to control. But here's the truth that no one told you. You can change this. You can train your mind to stay calm, clear, and steady, even when the world around you feels chaotic. Think about the times you stayed quiet when you wanted to shout, or chosen to breathe when you wanted to snap. Those small moments of control felt powerful, didn't they? That's because emotional control is more than just a skill. It's freedom. It's the freedom to act from your values instead of your impulses, to speak with purpose instead of regret, to create the life you want instead of being pulled around by moods or triggers. Imagine how different your relationships, your work, and your confidence would feel if you could access that freedom every single day. Imagine walking into a stressful meeting with a calm heart, hearing criticism without defensiveness, or guiding your kids through their big emotions without losing your own. This isn't just a dream. Science shows your brain is plastic. It rewires itself based on what you repeatedly do. Just as a muscle grows with training, your ability to control emotional reactions grows with practice. Right now, you're about to discover how. Over the next few minutes, you'll learn 10 daily habits that don't take hours, don't require special equipment, and don't demand superhuman willpower. They are small, practical actions that gradually reshape the way you think, feel, and respond. As you listen and imagine applying them, your brain is already beginning to lay new pathways. Each habit is like a brick in the foundation of a calmer, stronger you. Together, they create a system that turns emotional chaos into clarity and strength. By the end, you won't just know how to control your reactions. You'll feel hope, direction, and the confidence that you're finally in charge of your own state of mind. Stay with me, because what follows is more than information. It's an invitation to build the kind of self-mastery most people only dream of. Each habit is simple, but its impact is deep. With every day you practice, you're not only changing how you act, you're changing who you become. And when you control your reactions, you control the quality of your life. That's the power you're about to unlock. Your emotions are not random storms passing through you. They are signals shaped by millions of years of survival. When something feels threatening, your brain's alarm system fires first, flooding you with chemicals that prepare you to fight, flee, or freeze. This happens faster than conscious thought, which is why you sometimes react before you even realize it. But knowing this truth isn't meant to make you feel powerless. It's meant to wake you up to the power you already hold. Because while you can't stop your brain from sounding the alarm, you can train yourself to respond to it differently. You can learn to recognize the surge, pause, and steer it instead of being carried away. Science has revealed something extraordinary about your mind. It is not fixed. It is alive, changing, and responsive to every habit you practice. The circuits that fire together, wire together. Every time you choose awareness over autopilot, every time you slow your breathing, every time you name what you feel instead of being consumed by it, you're literally reshaping your neural pathways. This isn't vague inspiration, it's biology. You are always teaching your brain how to handle the next challenge. The question is whether you're teaching it to panic or to stay calm, to explode, or to respond with clarity. Each choice you make, no matter how small, is a vote for the person you're becoming. Think about what that means for your life. It means the heated argument doesn't have to define you. It means the moment you feel overlooked at work can become a moment of composure, not bitterness. It means the pressure of a crisis can be the place where your strength shows itself, not where you lose control. When you begin to understand your emotional reactions as patterns instead of permanent traits, you step into a space of freedom. You stop saying, "This is just who I am," and start saying, "This is what I'm practicing." And practice is power. Practice is how you move from reacting to choosing. There's a deeper reason this matters. Your emotional state sets the tone for your entire life. It colors your relationships, your decisions, your health, your future. When you learn to regulate it, you're not suppressing your feelings, you're mastering them. You're creating a stable ground inside yourself where clarity, patience, and confidence can grow. That stability doesn't make you cold or detached. It makes you stronger, more present, more compassionate. People who learn to control their reactions are not less human. They are more fully themselves. This is the foundation for every habit you're about to adopt. Without understanding what's happening inside you, any technique becomes a temporary fix. With understanding, every technique becomes a tool for lasting transformation. You start to see that emotional control isn't about resisting life. It's about guiding yourself through it with intention. And with each moment of guidance, you create proof that you are capable of change. This proof builds hope. Hope builds courage. Courage builds action. And action repeated daily becomes identity. This is the path you are stepping onto now. A path of deliberate practice, grounded in science and fueled by your desire for freedom. Real transformation does not begin in the heat of a crisis. It begins in the quiet, ordinary moments you choose to shape your inner state. When you wake up in the morning before your phone lights up, before the world's noise pours in, there is a window where your mind is soft and open. In that space, you can set the tone for your entire day. A simple practice of checking in with yourself, asking how you feel, noticing what thoughts are rising, starts to build a bridge between unconscious emotion and conscious choice. This small act signals to your brain that you are not a passenger in your own experience. You are present, awake, and steering. Even 2 minutes of mindful self-awareness can shift your nervous system from a reactive state into a responsive one. You begin to catch the subtle tensions in your body, the quiet worries in your mind, and you bring them into the light before they become storms. Neuroscience shows that when you repeatedly practice this kind of awareness, the regions of your brain responsible for emotional regulation grow stronger, just like a muscle under steady training. This is not about perfection. It is about consistency. Every morning you choose awareness over autopilot. You are voting for a calmer, clearer version of yourself. Imagine starting each day like this, grounded, centered, already practicing control before life tests you. Instead of waking up and diving straight into emails, news, or social media, you take a breath and meet yourself. You acknowledge what's inside you without judgment. This simple check-in creates a moment of ownership. Ownership leads to intention. Intention leads to power. This is how emotional mastery is built. One deliberate moment at a time. You no longer stumble into your day unprepared. You rise into it with a stable heart and a focused mind. There is a deep emotional reward in this practice. You begin to feel lighter, not because your life is free of stress, but because your reactions are no longer automatic chains pulling you in every direction. You feel more patient with others, more present in your work, more grounded in your decisions. This steadiness becomes noticeable to the people around you. They feel your calm, and it changes how they respond to you. Your relationships begin to shift. Opportunities open because people trust a steady presence. You start to embody the strength you once admired in others. This is the hidden power of small daily habits. They don't just change your day, they change your identity. They create proof inside you that self-mastery is possible, that calm is a skill you can practice. Each morning check-in is not just a ritual. It is a declaration. I am responsible for my inner world. That declaration, repeated day after day, rewires not only your brain, but your entire sense of self. You stop waiting for circumstances to grant you peace. You start creating peace from within. And that peace becomes the foundation on which every other habit stands, allowing you to meet the challenges of life with composure, strength, and clarity. The breath is your first and most powerful anchor. It is the one tool you always carry, the one signal your nervous system listens to above all else. When your breathing is shallow and rapid, your body believes it is under attack. Your heart rate climbs, your muscles tense, your mind narrows into survival. But when you slow your breath, when you draw it deep into your lungs and release it steadily, you send a completely different message. You tell your body that you are safe, that there is space to think, that there is no need to fight. This single act begins to dissolve the surge of stress hormones and returns clarity to your mind. Controlled breathing is not a luxury. It is a skill that can transform how you meet the world. By practicing deliberate breathing every day, even for a minute or two, you teach your nervous system a new baseline. You create a reflex of calm that becomes available even in moments of pressure. This is how you begin to interrupt the old pattern where emotions hijack your actions. Instead of being swept away, you pause, inhale, hold, exhale, and feel your power return. Each breath is a micro reset, a reminder that you are more than the rush of adrenaline moving through you. Science has shown that simple patterns like box breathing or the 4 to 7 minus 8 technique activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the branch responsible for rest, recovery, and clear thinking. This isn't an abstract idea, it is measurable biology. With every slow breath, your heart rate variability improves, your stress chemicals drop, and your ability to choose your response grows stronger. Over time, this practice rewires your brain's response to stress so that calm becomes your default rather than your exception. Picture yourself facing a situation that normally triggers you, a critical email, a tense conversation, an unexpected setback. Instead of tightening and reacting, you take a single deep breath, then another. In those few seconds, you reclaim control of your state. Your words become measured, your decisions grounded. People feel your steadiness and respond in kind. This is not weakness. This is strength under pressure. The kind of strength that leaves you proud of your actions instead of regretful. The beauty of this habit is its simplicity. You don't need special equipment. You don't need extra time carved from an already busy day. You only need willingness. 1 conscious breath before a meeting, 2 slow breaths before you answer the phone, a minute of deep breathing before you step into a challenging conversation. These tiny choices accumulate into a profound shift in who you are under stress. They create a new identity of someone who stays centered even when the world pushes. Every breath is a chance to practice freedom. Freedom from impulsive reactions. Freedom from being a prisoner to your own physiology. Freedom to act from intention rather than instinct. When you train your breath, you train your life. You transform the way energy moves through you, and in doing so, you transform the way your presence is felt by everyone around you. This is the quiet power that builds resilience and composure, 1 breath at a time, until calm is no longer something you reach for, but something you embody. Emotions lose much of their grip the moment you name them. When a feeling stays vague, it feels like a storm without a center, but the instant you put it into words, you begin to create order out of chaos. Saying to yourself, I feel anxious or I feel disappointed, activates parts of your brain responsible for reasoning and dampens the areas responsible for alarm. This is not a trick. It is how your nervous system works. Labeling an emotion brings it into the light where you can see it, understand it, and choose how to act instead of being swept away by it. Most people skip this step. They rush from stimulus to reaction, never pausing long enough to recognize what's really happening inside them. They believe they are their anger, their sadness, their irritation, but you are not your feelings. You are the awareness noticing them. This shift is subtle but powerful. By practicing the habit of naming your emotions, you create distance between the surge and your sense of self. That distance is where freedom lives. It's where choice lives. It's where your best self can emerge even in the middle of pressure. Begin with the smallest situations. When tension rises, silently name what you're feeling. Frustrated, impatient, overwhelmed. This takes only a second, but it interrupts the unconscious pattern of reactivity. Each time you do it, you strengthen the neural pathways that support emotional regulation. Research shows that people who can distinguish their emotions with greater precision are less likely to be hijacked by them. They recover faster, communicate more clearly, and make decisions aligned with their long-term goals rather than their temporary moods. There is also a deep emotional reward in this practice. Naming your emotions validates your experience without letting it control you. It tells your nervous system, I see you, but I'm in charge. That simple acknowledgement is calming in itself. It turns raw, shapeless energy into something you can hold and work with. Over time, you stop fearing your feelings. You start to meet them like a leader meeting a team, listening, understanding, but ultimately guiding. This steadiness radiates outward. People around you feel safer, heard, and respected because your responses are no longer unpredictable. You don't have to get the words perfect. You don't even have to speak them aloud. A simple mental note is enough. The power is not in eloquence, but in awareness. By practicing this daily, you transform emotional storms into signals you can read and navigate. You begin to live from a place of conscious response instead of reflexive reaction. This practice is not about suppression. It's about integration. It's about giving every part of your inner life a name and a place so that you, the one at the center, remain steady. With each repetition, you're teaching your brain a new lesson. Feelings are information, not commands. They deserve attention, but not obedience. And once you understand that, your world opens. You discover that even in the midst of intense emotion, there is a still point inside you, a space of clarity and power waiting for you to claim it. Once you begin to recognize and name what you feel, you create the perfect ground for shaping how you will respond. Your mind is no longer a battlefield of impulses, but a training arena where you rehearse the person you want to be. Just as an athlete visualizes every movement before stepping onto the field, you can mentally practice calm before the moment arrives. This is not fantasy, it is preparation. The brain does not fully distinguish between vivid mental rehearsal and real experience. Each time you picture yourself staying composed, your nervous system is laying down pathways that make that response easier in reality. Take a moment in your day when you are calm and imagine a situation that normally provokes you. See it clearly, hear the words, feel the environment, and then, in that mental space, watch yourself breathe, pause, and speak with steadiness. Feel the strength in your body language, the clarity in your voice, the patience in your heart. When you practice this daily, you are programming your nervous system with a new default. You are teaching it that even under pressure, you remain centered. You are building automaticity so that when the real trigger appears, your body already knows how to respond. This practice also strengthens self-trust. You stop fearing that you will lose it when things go wrong. You begin to believe in your ability to stay grounded because you have rehearsed it. That belief becomes a powerful anchor. It calms you even before the challenge arrives. It changes the story you tell yourself from "I can't handle this" to "I've prepared for this." That shift in inner dialogue is a form of emotional armor, not the kind that hardens you, but the kind that frees you to act with courage and clarity. Rehearsing calm responses also rewires your relationship with stress. Instead of seeing challenges as threats, you start to see them as opportunities to practice your mastery. Each situation becomes a test you've already prepared for, a chance to express the composed, intentional self you've been training. This transforms stress from something that drains you into something that strengthens you. You stop waiting for life to be easy and start becoming strong enough to meet it as it is. There is a deep satisfaction in knowing you are shaping your reactions ahead of time. It turns what once felt like chaos into a skill you're honing. And like any skill, the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. You will notice yourself pausing without thinking, breathing deeply without effort, choosing words with precision and kindness without struggle. People around you will notice it too. They will see the steadiness in your presence and respond with greater respect and openness. This is how leadership of the self begins. It starts invisibly, in quiet mental rehearsals, and then shows itself outwardly in moments of real pressure. Every mental rehearsal is an act of self-creation. You're not pretending to be calm, you're becoming calm. You're not acting like a stronger person, you're wiring yourself into one. This is the invisible work that precedes visible transformation, the work that turns intention into instinct and makes composure not an effort, but a way of being. Gratitude is the quiet force that steadies the heart when life feels overwhelming. It shifts your focus from what threatens you to what sustains you, from what is missing to what is present, from scarcity to strength. In a reactive state, the mind scans constantly for danger, and even small inconveniences feel like crises. Gratitude interrupts that cycle. It signals to your nervous system that you are safe enough to notice good things, and that safety softens the edges of your emotional reactions. By practicing gratitude daily, you begin to train your brain to scan for stability instead of stress. This habit does not have to be grand or complicated. In the middle of your day, you can pause and name 3 things you are grateful for: a conversation, a skill, a moment of peace, a breath. They don't have to be dramatic. In fact, the smallest acknowledgments are often the most powerful. Each time you do this, you are rewiring your attention. You are teaching your mind to search for what strengthens you instead of what drains you. Over time, this becomes a reflex. You automatically start to see opportunities and supports where before you only saw obstacles. There is deep psychology behind this. Gratitude releases dopamine and serotonin, the neurotransmitters of calm and contentment. It lowers cortisol, the hormone of stress. It expands your perspective, which is exactly what is needed when emotions narrow your focus and make problems feel larger than they are. Gratitude doesn't erase challenges, but it creates an inner platform strong enough to face them. It restores balance so you can respond with clarity instead of reactivity. Imagine confronting a tense moment after having practiced gratitude. Instead of being pulled into anger or fear, you find yourself grounded by a quiet sense of sufficiency. You remember what is steady in your life, and that memory creates a pause long enough for you to choose your response. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about recognizing that even in imperfection, there are supports, lessons, and moments of beauty. That recognition gives you strength. The more you practice, the more gratitude becomes part of your identity. It moves from being an exercise to being a way of seeing. You start to carry it into conversations, into decisions, into the way you interpret events. People feel it in your presence. Your calm begins to influence theirs. You become someone who can hold space for others without being shaken by their emotions because you are rooted in an awareness of what is good and solid. This habit may seem small, but its ripple effect is immense. It softens your nervous system so that other practices, breathing, naming, rehearsing work even better. It gives you a reservoir of positive emotion you can draw from when stress rises, and it reinforces the most important truth of emotional mastery. You are not at the mercy of your circumstances. You can choose where you place your attention, and where your attention goes, your reactions follow. By practicing gratitude, you are not only calming your present state, you are sculpting a mind that meets life with steadiness and strength. Power grows in the pause. The instant between stimulus and response is small, but it holds the seed of transformation. In that sliver of time, you can either surrender to habit or step into mastery. Most people rush past it, letting old patterns decide their actions. But with practice, you can learn to stretch that instant, to create enough space to breathe, to choose, to act with intention. This is where emotional control moves from theory to reality. It is not about suppressing your feelings. It is about creating room for wisdom to enter before you speak or act. The practice is simple but profound. Pause, breathe, decide. Whenever tension rises, give yourself 3 seconds. One deep inhale to anchor your body. One moment of stillness to let the first wave pass. One conscious choice about how you want to respond. This pause can feel like eternity when emotions are high, but it is actually only a heartbeat. Yet in that heartbeat, everything changes. The chemicals in your body begin to settle, the rational part of your brain regains power, and the words or actions you choose come from clarity rather than impulse. Neuroscience confirms the power of delaying reaction. Even a tiny pause shifts your nervous system out of the fight or flight state and into a more balanced mode where empathy and logic can coexist. This isn't weakness, it's advanced self-regulation. It's a skill leaders, athletes, and those who thrive under pressure develop deliberately. Each pause you practice is like a repetition in the gym for your emotional muscles. At first it feels awkward, but with time it becomes automatic, a natural rhythm that steadies you in storms. Imagine standing in a moment that would normally trigger you, a sharp comment, a sudden disappointment, an unexpected obstacle. Instead of snapping or withdrawing, you inhale deeply. Feel the breath expand your chest, let a fraction of a second pass, and then respond from your highest self. You speak calmly, or you choose silence, or you ask a thoughtful question. The situation shifts. You leave with dignity rather than regret. This is the quiet strength of the pause that transforms not only your reaction, but often the entire interaction. Practicing this daily rewires your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who just reacts and start seeing yourself as someone who chooses. That self-image is powerful. It builds confidence, and confidence builds patience. People around you begin to trust your steadiness. Conflicts become easier to navigate. Opportunities open because others feel safe in your presence. And inside, you feel a growing sense of mastery. Proof that you are no longer a passenger of your emotions, but the driver. The pause also deepens your connection to your own values. It gives you time to remember what matters most before you act. In that space, you can align your behavior with your goals, your relationships, your integrity. This is the essence of emotional freedom. Not a life without feelings, but a life where your feelings inform rather than control you. Each pause you take is an act of self-respect. a small moment of sovereignty, and a declaration that you will live by choice rather than by impulse. Repeat it again and again. It becomes part of who you are, a calm, steady presence in a world that often moves too fast. Reflection is the mirror that turns experience into wisdom. Without it, days blur together and reactions repeat like echoes. With it, every moment becomes a teacher, every challenge a lesson, every success a blueprint for more strength. When you pause at the end of your day to look back, you are not judging yourself, you are guiding yourself. You are gathering data from your own life, seeing where you held your ground, where you slipped, and where you can grow. This simple act of evening reflection begins to weave a thread of continuity through your efforts. Tells your brain that emotional mastery is not a passing interest, but a living practice. The nervous system loves closure. When you end your day with a deliberate review, you signal to your mind that it can release what has already happened. You free yourself from carrying unfinished tension into your night. Even a few minutes of writing, speaking aloud, or simply sitting quietly with your thoughts can lower your stress hormones and prepare your body for deeper rest. This rest in turn strengthens your capacity to regulate emotions the following day. You are literally closing the loop on stress, preventing it from stacking up and spilling over. There is a power in asking yourself gentle, honest questions at night. Where did I stay calm today? What triggered me? And how did I respond? What would I like to practice differently tomorrow? These are not accusations. They are invitations to growth. They shift your focus from regret to intention. They transform mistakes into feedback and feedback into mastery. Over time, you begin to notice patterns. You see which situations pull you off center and which habits keep you steady. This awareness becomes a map you can use to navigate future challenges with greater skill. Pairing reflection with a release ritual deepens its impact. After reviewing your day, take a few slow breaths, stretch, pray, meditate, or simply place your hand on your heart and say, I let today go. This signals to your nervous system that it's safe to reset. You're telling yourself, the day is done and I'm still here, learning, growing, becoming stronger. That ritual repeated each night becomes a powerful anchor. It allows you to wake up the next morning without the residue of yesterday's emotions clouding your mind. This practice builds an inner continuity that compounds over time. You stop feeling as though your days are random and start sensing a through line of growth. Even when you stumble, you see it quickly, adjust, and move forward. This is how mastery feels. Not like perfection, but like a steady upward curve of self-awareness and self-control. The more you reflect and release, the lighter you become, because you're not dragging old reactions into new days. You're meeting each morning as a fresh opportunity to practice being the person you are training yourself to be. Evening reflection is an act of respect for your own journey. It acknowledges that your progress matters, that your effort is worth noticing, that you are not living on autopilot, but consciously shaping who you are. Each night you do this, you are reinforcing a deeper truth. Emotional control is not a single moment of strength, but a lifestyle of awareness, learning, and renewal. This is how you turn daily practice into lasting change, one honest look and one deliberate release at a time. Your body is not separate from your mind. It is the stage on which every emotion plays out. When stress accumulates, it does not stay trapped in thoughts alone. It floods your muscles, tightens your chest, quickens your pulse. If you never release it, it builds layer upon layer until your reactions are faster and sharper than you intend. Movement is the most direct way to clear this residue. Each time you move, you help your body process the chemistry of stress and return to equilibrium. This is why physical activity is more than fitness. It is emotional hygiene. Even small amounts of movement can shift your state. A brisk walk, stretching, dancing, a few push-ups. These acts signal to your nervous system that you are taking control. They lower adrenaline and cortisol while increasing endorphins and serotonin, the chemicals of calm and well-being. This isn't just about burning calories, it's about burning tension. As your body softens, your mind follows. As your heart rate slows after movement, your thinking becomes clearer, your patience deeper, your reactions steadier. You give yourself the gift of a baseline that is less reactive and more resilient. This habit does not demand perfection or hours in a gym. It asks for consistency and intention. When you move your body deliberately each day, you are training your nervous system to cycle through stress more efficiently. You're teaching it that challenges come and go, that you can process energy instead of storing it. Over time, your threshold for emotional triggers rises. Things that once made you snap now pass through you with less force because your body is already prepared to handle the surge. There's a powerful psychological shift that happens when you link movement with mindful awareness. As you exercise, notice your breath, your posture, your sensations. Feel the tension leaving. Imagine stress melting with each step or each stretch. This pairing of movement and mindfulness compounds the benefits, turning a physical act into a mental reset. You emerge not only physically energized, but emotionally lighter, clearer, and more capable of responding to life with balance. This practice also builds self-respect. Each time you move, even when you don't feel like it, you prove to yourself that you can take action on your own behalf. That proof strengthens your identity as someone who chooses health, steadiness, and self-mastery. It creates a virtuous cycle. The more you move, the better you feel. The better you feel, the calmer your reactions. The calmer your reactions, the more energy you have to keep moving. This is how physical discipline becomes emotional freedom. Imagine facing the day's challenges after you moved your body and cleared your mind. Your heart feels open, your muscles relax, your breathing steady. The same triggers that once caught you off guard now feel manageable. You're not fighting your own physiology anymore, you're aligning with it. You're using your body as an ally in your emotional growth. This is how movement becomes more than exercise. It becomes a daily ritual of renewal, a way of telling your entire system, I am in charge. I am releasing what no longer serves me. I am ready to meet life with strength and composure. You are not only shaped by your own habits, but also by the energy you allow around you. Every conversation, every environment, every piece of input is a subtle training ground for your nervous system. When you surround yourself with people who thrive on drama, your reactions tighten. When you live in cluttered or noisy spaces, your stress levels rise before anything even happens. Yet when you deliberately choose calm influences and supportive environments, your mind starts to mirror that steadiness. You begin to rise to the level of what you consistently expose yourself to. This is not weakness. It is the natural law of resonance. Your nervous system syncs with the signals it receives. Take a moment to notice the spaces you inhabit and the company you keep. Do they anchor you or agitate you? Do they pull you into reactive cycles or reinforce your commitment to composure? The answer to those questions reveals why certain days feel harder than others. Your environment and relationships are like invisible hands shaping your responses. By becoming intentional about them, you reclaim a tremendous amount of power. This does not mean cutting yourself off from the world. It means curating what strengthens you so you can bring your best self to the world. Begin by identifying even one person who models calm under pressure. Spend more time with them. Study their presence. Let your nervous system learn from theirs. The human brain is wired for mimicry. We unconsciously copy the emotional tone of those we spend time with. By aligning yourself with steadiness, you accelerate your own. At the same time, look at the physical spaces where you spend your hours. A small act of order, clearing a desk, opening a window, softening lighting, can lower your background stress more than you realize. You are teaching your body that it is safe, that there is room to breathe, that calm is normal. This practice of curating your surroundings is not about control for its own sake. It is about creating conditions where your best habits can flourish. Just as a seed needs good soil, your emotional growth needs a supportive context. The more you build it, the easier every other habit becomes. Breathing is deeper in a quiet space. Reflection is clearer in an uncluttered room. Gratitude is easier in the company of people who value it. These subtle shifts compound until your environment is no longer working against you, but working for you. There is also an inner dignity in making these choices. You stop waiting for others to change before you can be calm. You decide to become the center of calm in any space you enter. This mindset transforms you from a reactor into a leader. Even when you cannot control the outer noise, you can still create small anchors of steadiness. Your posture, your breathing, your intentional presence, and your steadiness begins to influence the room rather than the room influencing you. By aligning your relationships and spaces with your values, you create a network of silent allies supporting your transformation. You are no longer fighting uphill against constant triggers. You are flowing with an environment that reflects your commitment to self-mastery. Over time, this external alignment reinforces your internal strength until composure becomes your default state, not an occasional victory. This is how you build a life where calm is not an escape, but a foundation. Gratitude is a force that rewires your emotional responses at their root. When you train yourself to notice what is good, what is working, what is already present, your brain shifts from scanning for threat to scanning for possibility. This is not a soft or passive practice. It is an act of discipline. The human nervous system is biased toward negativity because it evolved to keep us alive. Gratitude interrupts that bias. It sends a signal of safety to the mind, telling it that in this moment you are not under attack, that there is still beauty, still support, still reasons to breathe. This simple but profound shift lowers stress hormones and strengthens the parts of your brain responsible for emotional regulation. Begin by grounding yourself in small recognitions. The warmth of your morning drink, the softness of a chair, the light coming through a window, the fact that you made it through another day of challenges. Each time you name a point of gratitude, you are gently carving a new pathway in your mind. Over time, these pathways become easier to travel. You start to default to appreciation instead of irritation. The same events that once triggered frustration now feel like opportunities to learn or reminders of what you value most. This is how gratitude begins to change not just your mood, but your reflexes. This practice works even in difficulty. In fact, it is most powerful there. When you find something to be grateful for in the middle of stress, you are reclaiming authority over your state. You are telling your nervous system that external chaos does not dictate your internal peace. This is not denial, it is mastery. It builds a resilient optimism that does not collapse under pressure. You become less reactive because your mind is anchored in abundance rather than scarcity, in appreciation rather than fear. Pairing gratitude with breath amplifies its effect. Take a slow, deep inhale. Think of one thing you are thankful for and exhale fully. This couples your thoughts with your physiology, embedding the feeling deeper. Your heart rate slows, your muscles relax, and your perspective widens. Even a few breaths done this way can reset your emotional tone for the day. Imagine stacking that effect day after day until your baseline is calmer, lighter, steadier. The identity shift that comes with consistent gratitude is profound. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start seeing yourself as a creator of meaning. That identity fuels other habits of emotional control because you begin to act from choice instead of reaction. You hold your power closer. You respond with perspective. You treat challenges as a context for growth rather than a threat to your stability. The world feels less like an enemy and more like a teacher. Gratitude also spreads. People feel it in your presence, in your tone, in your patience. As you practice it, you become a source of calm for others, which in turn reinforces your own steadiness. This virtuous cycle grows stronger each time you pause to notice even one good thing. Over weeks and months, your inner dialogue transforms, your reactions soften, and your courage expands. You discover that emotional control is not just about resisting triggers, but about cultivating a state so rich in appreciation that triggers lose their power. This is how gratitude evolves from a simple exercise into a core strength, a quiet force shaping every reaction, every choice, every day. Focus is the quiet gatekeeper of your emotional power. When your attention is scattered, every small disruption feels larger, every minor stress becomes amplified. But when you direct your focus with intention, your inner state stabilizes. You begin to see clearly instead of reacting blindly. This is why the practice of single tasking, of giving full presence to one thing at a time, is not just a productivity tool, but a path to emotional mastery. Each time you reclaim your focus, you reclaim energy. Each time you hold it steady, you strengthen the muscles of self-control. Begin by noticing how often your mind jumps from one thing to another. Messages, notifications, unfinished tasks, worries, all of them compete for your limited attention. This mental clutter